France had always been the epitome of romance in my mind, a country steeped in the art of love, from the candlelit dinners in quaint Parisian bistros to the quiet cobblestone streets that seemed designed for lovers' strolls. When my girlfriend, Emily, and I decided to take a trip to France, it felt like a dream come true. A chance to immerse ourselves in the beauty of a country that mirrored the passion we shared. For the first few days, the trip unfolded like a perfect love story. In Paris, we ascended the Eiffel Tower, our hands entwined, sharing whispers of dreams and plans for the future. At Montmartre, we watched artists paint vibrant scenes of the city as we sipped on café au lait. We even took a boat ride on the Seine at sunset, the city's golden lights casting reflections on the water that danced as we did later that night in our hotel room. From Paris, we moved on to the countryside, to the lavender fields of Provence and the serene vineyards of Bordeaux. The air smelled of flowers and fermenting grapes, and the world seemed painted in soft, warm hues. Emily and I were inseparable, partners in adventure, lovers exploring the very heart of romance, but as the days went by, I began to notice a shift in Emily. It was subtle at first, a moment of hesitation when I reached for her hand, a distracted look when I spoke. She'd always been contemplative, but this was different. It was as though her mind was elsewhere, wandering far from the idyllic scenes we'd surrounded ourselves with. On our second-to-last day, we were in Nice, lounging on the pebbled beach with the azure Mediterranean stretching endlessly before us. Emily seemed quieter than usual, her gaze fixed on the horizon. I asked her if everything was okay, and she turned to me with a look I couldn't quite place. It was a mixture of sadness and resolve. "I need to tell you something," she began, her voice barely audible over the sound of the waves. I think I need some time alone." I blinked, unsure if I'd heard her correctly. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, as though searching for the right words. "I've been feeling lost. Like I don't know who I am outside of us. This trip has been amazing, but it's also made me realize that I need to find myself. And I can't do that while we're together." Her words hit me like a cold wave. We'd planned every detail of this trip together. It was supposed to be about us, about strengthening our bond. Not unraveling it. "So what are you saying?" I asked, my voice tinged with disbelief. "I'm saying I need to stay here. Alone. Just for a little while." I stared at her, the full weight of her words sinking in. She wanted to abandon our plans, abandon me, to embark on some solitary journey of self-discovery. It felt like a betrayal, not just of me, but of everything we'd built together. And what am I supposed to do? I asked, my voice rising. Wait for you? Pretend this doesn't feel like you're just walking away? Emily looked down, unable to meet my eyes. I don't expect you to understand. I need this. The rest of the day passed in strained silence. I couldn't wrap my head around her sudden decision. That evening, as we sat across from each other at dinner, the tension was palpable. Every bite tasted bitter, every shared glance a painful reminder of the chasm that had opened between us. By the time we returned to our hotel, I'd made up my mind. If she wanted to find herself, she could do it without my help. I couldn't be the safety net she'd retreat to when things got tough. The next morning, while she was still asleep, I packed my bags. I left a note on the bedside table. Emily, I won't stand in your way. If finding yourself means leaving me behind, then so be it. But I won't stay here, footing the bill for a journey I'm not part of. Take care of yourself. Goodbye. I walked out of the hotel, my heart heavy but my resolve firm. I booked a ticket back home and left France, the country that had promised romance but delivered heartbreak. In the weeks that followed, I tried to piece my life back together. Friends and family offered their support, their voices a comforting balm to the wound Emily had left behind. I deleted her photos from my phone, unfollowed her on social media, and focused on rebuilding my sense of self. Each day felt like a small step toward healing, even though the ache of her absence lingered in quiet moments. I'd return to my favorite cafe and find myself staring at the empty chair across from me, imagining her there, laughing, her eyes sparkling with joy. Then, one day, I received a letter. It was from Emily, postmarked from a small village in the south of France. She wrote about how she'd spent her days painting, hiking, and reflecting on her life. She described the way the early morning light fell over the rolling hills, the quiet solace she'd found in solitude. She apologized for the pain she'd caused but didn't ask for forgiveness. Instead, she thanked me for letting her go, for giving her the space to discover who she was. But the letter wasn't the only thing she sent. Along with it was a painting, one that took my breath away. It was of a bridge, our bridge in Paris where we had shared our first kiss on the trip. The scene was awash in twilight hues, with two figures in the distance, one walking away while the other stood still, watching. The figures were unmistakably us. The detail was haunting, the brushstrokes capturing the heartbreak and beauty of that moment. Reading her words and seeing the painting, I felt a mix of emotions, sadness, anger, and a bittersweet sense of closure. Emily had found what she was looking for, and in a way, so had I. The trip to France had ended far differently than I'd imagined, but it had taught me an important lesson: love is as much about letting go as it is about holding on. Months later, I found myself back in France, walking along the Seine, this time alone. The city felt different, quieter, as though it, too, carried the weight of what had transpired. But as I stood on a bridge overlooking the water, I realized I wasn't bitter. France had given me heartbreak, yes, but it had also given me growth. And as I looked out at the city's golden lights, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for what lay ahead.